Welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time to the Fiercely Fulfilled Feminine YouTube channel. And Hideki Mama G here. Yes, I am going to introduce a 40-day sexual shame detox right here on YouTube for your absolute benefit. I am going to talk about what shame is, why you may still be holding on to a lot of heavy, heavy baggage like sexual shame that you might not even be aware of. Why is shame is so detrimental to all the goodness that you want or desire in your life, why it shows up, where it may have come about, and introduce the detox, the framework for each day that's critically important, the technique that I use that I've created by actually combining four different disciplines that have been shared from others. And the reason I know it is so effective is because I've done it myself. In fact, I'm putting it into a workbook format to support my clients in healing their own sexual trauma and the echoes of that sexual trauma, which can last a lifetime unless it is addressed. Okay, so I am Ann Hayes, aka Mama G. I am a sacred sexuality and feminine sovereignty mentor who supports purpose-driven twin flames, empowers rather, to alchemize sexual trauma into embodied power with what I call the reclaim process so that you can experience true intimacy, lasting fulfillment, and radiant feminine sovereignty. Now, before I continue, first of all, you're going to get to the getting good. The framework is something in this video that you can go back to throughout this entire detox, entire 40 days. And I also would like to invite you for a complimentary 30-minute one-on-one body reconnect session so that you can experience the first critical step of the reclaim process along with this. Okay, how good is that? Yes, yes, yes. Be on the lookout as well because that workbook will officially come out this year before the end of the 2026 calendar year. I have a couple of dates that I'm playing with. I'll let you know those as soon as I know. Okay, so first of all, um, what is shame? Let's start with shame, okay? Hold on because I have notes here and I'm wondering why. Okay, all right. I'm just going to share. I guess I was guided to share that this is a combination of elements that involves Tantra, Pink Tantra, more than anything. It involves affirmations. It involves, mirror work. And the other one, up, 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 up. Oh, actually, it includes essentially the fourth step of the 12-step recovery program associated with initially AI, Alcoholics Anonymous, like for recovery from addictions. Okay. Yeah, you're here, you're like, that's not me. We all have addictions, even if it is addictive thinking. I know I had a love addiction, and in some way, with my promiscuity and the way I love bombed and associated love with sex, I had, in my own sense, a form of sex addiction. So stay with me, be humble, be open, be real to the real, because this is an opportunity for you to be vulnerable with yourself first, so then you can do the same with others. Because what that does is it builds your inner sense of safety, trust, the ability to connect more deeply. Because if you can do that with yourself first, then you can more easily do that with others. And that's part of why I'm here showing up, doing this for you. Okay, so like I said, I went through the detox myself. I was divinely guided each day what to do, how to do it, what to share. And I'm in the midst of writing, like I said, a book on it. And I'm first going to tell you it was absolutely magical, transformative, like just very surprising at how such a simple technique could be so deeply transformative. And so for me, I didn't realize it this is actually was initiated 4 years ago when I had met what some would call a twin flame, a flame-backed connection. some kind of connection that put me on this path of really being able to step back and, for the first time, truly seeing the patterns in the ways in which I related to myself, related to others, the way I reacted, the way I responded, codependency, trauma bonding, love addiction, sex addiction, love bombing, neediness, obsessiveness, you name it. I had no idea that I was still operating from all the shame connected to all these patterns that kept looping because I just did not have the awareness. So I have a lot to thank for this connection for really bringing that to my awareness. So let's continue with that being said. Relationship chaos, rejection, life just gets challenging. You see, when you are weighed down by shame, and I'll talk a little bit about shame in a quick moment, you just block it all because it just, I'm talking about that, the perfect relationship, the good friendship, the financial abundance, the joy, the peace, all of it. It's just not happening when you are weighed down by heavy, dirty down low shame. And here's why. Here's why. Because shame is the lowest vibrational frequency that you can experience in an emotion in your body. It's like going to the airport and you're going on a shuttle flight and you got three oversized heavy bags with a backpack and a big person and maybe a few shopping bags, like just overloaded with baggage. Okay. And the plane is not going to get off the ground. They're not going to let you get on the plane, and you're not going to be able to take flight, so to speak. You're not going to be able to elevate into higher frequency bandwidths of awareness and remembrance unless you unload that shame. And I refer specifically to the David Hawkins map of consciousness. And if you're not familiar with that yet, go Google it. It literally, like, it's color coded and it looks at frequencies and it gives you a general idea of where emotions lie on the map of consciousness. In other words, where are you in your level of consciousness and conscious awareness at this stage of your evolution? Very powerful stuff. And yeah, shame is at the bottom. Shame is at the bottom. I must have a little more to unload myself. And oh wow, excuse me. I'm not gonna edit because I'm still waiting for my physical team showing up in bigger and bigger groups. So yeah, and it blocks out the true love, true connection, true intimacy, true abundance, true joy, true peace, all of it, your vitality, literally your life force energy will be drained. And the sexual shame, and I'm going to share in a minute where it comes from and where it can stem from. And oh my God, I believe that probably every single person on the planet has some level of sexual shame just because of the societal programming, the cultural conditioning, because of the sexual misery programs, you name it, it's out there. So this journey, by the way, is a journey of revelation, reconciliation, and restoration. Those are my three R's. Okay. I was once a teacher, but I like those for my recovery and your recovery. So yeah, you want more peace, purpose, lightness, deeper connection, freedom, more abundance, all of it, stay with me. Okay. All right. So, what is sexual shame and how does it end up trapped in your body so that you feel like you're at the bottom of this dang cannon, walls on both sides, nothing can get to you. You can't get to anything else that's good. And maybe perhaps there's even a storm brewing overhead. Huh. We want to be done with that. Okay. So, where did it come from? Well, first of all, and I'm not going to get into all, I'm going to give you a few different examples. And then as we go through the detox, you will be, I believe you'll be shocked like I was at all the different ways that shame shows up around sexuality. It was mind blowing for me, literally. So first of all, the sexual trauma itself, whether it was an assault, whether it was childhood abuse, whether someone shamed you for, maybe you were masturbating, maybe you performed a sexual act, maybe you had sex at a young age or younger than your parents might have thought you should have. Maybe it was before marriage, maybe it was a church dictate, societal conditioning, societal programming, or the effects of childhood sexual abuse that had you doing things, behaving in a way, thinking in a way that only demonstrated the shame that you felt that seemed to just kind of pile up on itself, because you had the effects of the sexual trauma, which only brought on more shame. Maybe you became promiscuous. Maybe you were overly thinking about sex. Maybe you were very sexual. You were masturbating excessively. And maybe you were the kind who cheated. You were cheated on. You were emotionally cheated. Maybe you just kept secrets from others. You were obsessive with love. You love bombed, sex addict, love addict, whatever it is. Oh my goodness, rebelled, repressed sexuality. Whoo! I've been all over the map myself. And I have really, really intimate personal stories that I share in this book. I'm not going to share those here. If you really want to get some juicy information so that you can unload more shame, knowing that you are not alone, like I said, be on the lookout for the release of that workbook this year. So let's see. Oh, mental health challenges. Anyways, it's just this core of shame, and it just builds upon itself. And it's like the snowball going down the hill, and it just seems to get bigger and bigger and heavier until your life seems to come to a standstill, until you just feel so depressed and so frustrated and so lonely, and you long and you just want this and that, and it's just not happening. That's why. That it's like a big ball and chain of shame on your ability to really move forward and expand and open up to the kind of life that you truly desire. At least I know that's how it was for me. So, yeah. Okay. So let's get right to the technique, why it's so effective, and then I'll break down the framework for you. And then I'm going to actually have day one available to you the same time I release this video, which may be tonight, maybe tomorrow night. And you won't know the date until I release it. Okay, let's see. I'm looking at the solar eclipse, the 12th, to release it on that, August 12th, 2026. Okay, so here's the deal. It involves mirror work for one. And let me explain why this is so powerful. First of all, I'm on a twin flame journey. Whether you're on a twin flame spiritual ascension journey or not, if you're here, you have been awakened and you are on a spiritual path. When you look into the mirror and you're looking at yourself, not only number one, if you look into your eyes, it's not like you're going to stare at yourself. You are recognizing the truth of who you are. You are looking into your own soul. You are looking to infinity, the infinite intelligence, the God essence, literally. And so you are being vulnerable, honestly, because you're going to do this in front of a mirror with the lights on. And if you're comfortable, butt naked. Okay, butt naked, whatever the term is. Okay, fully unclothed. And so that you can be seen. And what happens is when you're witnessing yourself, that's where the Tantra comes in. Tantra is a deeply transformative practice that can involve heart alchemy, sexual sublimation, and the idea is to take lower sexual energy and to sublimate it into higher levels of consciousness. It is a tool of spiritual ascension. Excuse me, it is a method, is a practice that supports spiritual ascension and transformation. Okay, very powerful practice. There's pink tantra. Okay, let me get to those in a minute, but the mirror work, getting back into it, this is where the Tantra piece comes in. The big concept in Tantra is holding space. Holding space is where you witness somebody else, you listen, you don't offer advice, free of judgment, free of shame, you don't talk, You just hold a very sacred space and you allow them to be able to share with absolute vulnerability what it is they are guided to share. So obviously, this is typically done in Tantra in partners. White Tantra could be just like a friend, like that's where I'll talk about the different types of Tantra, is you have like I did a cacao ceremony and we had to gaze in each other's eyes. We um we had to get really close, just hug and move around and kind of have our bodies come into contact with each other and just become comfortable with connection, platonic. Okay, so that is white tantra, and there are actually full day tantric events um, where you can engage in tantra, and that helps to build connection. There's pink tantra, which is more or less what this specific detox is going to be about, which is focuses on heart alchemy. And it's a very critical aspect of tantra because if that heart is not opened and you're not able to open and expand and heal the heart enough, you're not going to be able to access deeper levels of tantra, such as red tantra, where you're actually working with the sexual energy again as a tool of transformation, spiritual ascension, of convening, communing, and connecting with the divine, with the God essence, with yourself, okay, like I do and like I teach my clients, and or with a divine partner, somebody who recognizes the sacredness of sexual energy and knows how to sublimate it. Essentially, sexual energy is like nuclear energy. You need to know what you're doing. I've mentioned this before. You need to know what you're doing. You don't just dive in. You really have to spend some time building the practice, okay? Which is why this detox is a great way to start. So Tantra, again, we're doing essentially pink Tantra, a little bit of white Tantra, holding space essentially, and working on some heart alchemy because as you release that shame, yes, you're going to feel it release from your pelvic area. You're going to also feel it release from your heart. You're going to feel a tremendous amount of grief for the life that you have not really truly been able to enjoy because of that shame, as an echo of the trauma, as a painful echo of the trauma. So I mean it when I say you will likely experience spontaneous purging and releasing if you're here. At least I know that's what I experienced. So there's the Tantra aspect. There's the mirror work. Again, when you're looking in the mirror, when you start to speak, whatever you're feeling, whatever you're experiencing, whatever you might, like say day one is about secrets. When you start to share secrets that you've kept and secrets that others have kept from you, it's just, or you might start to like on a subconscious level feel that shame and those underserving beliefs about you being unworthy, incapable of being loved, always being rejected, or just not able to do what you truly want to be able to do, not having the power. That dissonance will show itself. And you will feel it before you see it. Because as you look into your eyes, you see divinity. You are communing not just with yourself, but with the God essence. Okay. So that's why this can be so powerful. Now, I haven't talked about the framework yet. I'm still talking about the elements, but we will talk about protecting the space. And I forgot to write that down. So anyways, I'll make mention of it. So there's the mirror work, why that works so well. Louise Hay is somebody who's well known for all the different types of mirror work in books that she put out there. And I've actually done a lot of her mirror work. And that's part of what gave me the idea to do this. Tantra, of course, I practice Tantra. And so pink Tantra, white Tantra, red Tantra. I do not practice black Tantra. That's black magic. I don't even do white magic. And I'm not going to talk about that today. I do not do sex magic. I used to. I no longer do that. And that may be another video. Okay. I'm not going to go into that for today. And if you're doing sex magic and you're trying to manifest and you're trying to control your timeline, your life, you're trying to interfere with other people's free will, I'm going to tell you right now, that's black magic. Okay. Okay, anyways, like I said, I wasn't going to get into that yet. I would say stop right now. I'm not here to shame you, but it's not going to support your best life. It is not sustainable. Okay, so we have, let's see, the next element. Oh, I love this one. The next element, and you'll understand more when I give you the framework, involves the 12-step recovery program, Alcoholics Anonymous, recovery for all kinds of addictions and for the loved ones of those with addictions. So the 12-step program, the first one is so the first step is to surrender to a higher power, God, the God essence. And essentially, when you show up in a mirror with yourself, it's a form of surrender. It's a form of vulnerability. The fourth step is about doing a what they call a fearless moral inventory. You're going to be doing a moral inventory of all the ways that the unhealthy aspects of your sexual trauma has shown up in your life and with others, in ways where you may have, I wouldn't say harmed others, maybe hurt others, or maybe, hurt yourself without necessarily being aware of it. So you're going to have an opportunity to really do a deep dive moral inventory these next 40 days. And you may even want to continue because I realize there's even more for me personally that I had to do. So it is that first, it's the first and the fourth steps of the 12-step recovery program for addiction, Tantra, mirror work. And finally, the fourth element is affirmations. Okay. Once we bring that in, it's kind of a way to process that. And there's a fifth element. Hang on, affirmations. So just affirming who you are and what you're believing in as you move forward. So once you release, let go of that piece of shame, then you bring in a new created truth once you've removed the falsehood. And then what else I realized is I wanted to include the Ho'oponopono prayer, which is a Hawaiian prayer of self-forgiveness, reconciliation, gratitude, self-accountability. And then reconnection. It's a very, very simple yet powerful prayer. I use it very, very often. In fact, I am going to include a link in this video to a particular song with that prayer that carries a frequency that I think is pretty powerful. So, five elements right there wrapped into one. I call it Tantric Mirror Work. Okay, by Fiercely Fulfilled Feminine. Okay, so let's see. Oh, wow, I'm moving ahead here. Okay, so let's get right to the framework. First of all, what I would recommend is that you protect the space. And whatever, first of all, mirrors are portals. And here's the thing, you want to open your heart, you also want to protect your heart. If you keep everything shut down, you're not experiencing anything, okay? It's kind of like you can use a mirror to your absolute benefit. And it's all about the intention. If you're going to stare in a mirror at yourself because you're, in a somebody stares at, you're not one to do this if you're here, but if somebody spends hours staring in the mirror at themselves and they're completely narcissistic, that is not a healthy way to use a mirror because that will attract entities that will match that narcissism. Whereas if you are using that space to actually heal with the intention of connecting with the divine and the God essence and for transforming the energy of your past trauma, that's a completely different intention. So I would say protect the space, however, whatever feels comfortable, call in the God essence, God of the Most High. Please surround this space and protect it lovingly. I know you could just say, I say every morning and every night, why am I so infinitely surrounded by such divine love, support, guidance, and protection? Thank you, dear sweet God of the Most High. Can you help to create a very sacred container here so that I can move through this process? Okay. So protect the space, number one. I think I need to go back and add that because I did it. The next thing is really, really important because this is how you ground yourself and bring yourself into the parasympathetic nervous system. You see, when you're in the parasympathetic nervous system, your body's more relaxed, you breathe more easily, your thoughts slow down, you're more present, which means you're not focused on the future and you're not worried about the past. So, how do we come into the parasympathetic nervous system? Is what I do one thing I call somatic shaking. Again, I will add a link to a reel in that. Literally just shaking your ass all over the place, shaking your whole body, shaking your head, just shaking, 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 shaking. Okay. You can literally shake off trauma. And then I would also include some dancing. Maybe it's slow and sensual, maybe it's fun, maybe it's, whatever. Just move the body, and then allow your breathing to come back to its normal rate, baseline rate, and then take a few conscious breaths. Okay. Once you've done that, set an intention. And I'm going to offer one to you. This is an intention that I used. I disrupt each loop of shame around my sexuality with ease and let it go for good. So that would be the intention that I would set every time I went to do this. So you can choose to use that same intention or not. Then, next step, this would be number 4. If you're comfortable, strip down naked. Allow yourself to be naked, witnessed in all your nakedness. You see, the physical nakedness is your emotional nakedness. It's symbolic of your vulnerability and this supports your intention. If you truly want to detox in a way that's going to support your elevation and your ascension, I would highly recommend it. Keep the light on. You're not going to be in a dark room looking in a dark mirror. You want to be able to be sure, just like you can see me here, that's the kind of lighting that you want to have. Fully illuminated, fully seen, fully heard, fully witnessed, and fully holding space for yourself. Again, if stripping down naked isn't comfortable for you, that's okay. You don't need to do that. Next step is you're going to actually sit in front of a mirror. I usually sit on a chair. Like if you have a floor to height or ceiling mirror, then you can just sit on the floor or whatever you want to sit on. Okay. I actually sat in a chair to do this. You're then going to look at the prompt. Actually, the prompt is something that I am going to share verbally in a reel, and then I am going to also include it in the description for each reel that I share for each day of the detox. Okay, so look at that prompt. If you want to look at it from the get-go, by all means, do that and have that ready, like in your awareness, in your mind. You are going to sit in front of the mirror, close your eyes, okay? Review the prompt in your mind and just kind of start to wait for some of the answers to arrive. Okay? And when I say answers, I mean you read the prompt. Like, for example, the first day is think of any time you kept a secret or somebody kept a secret from you. Okay? And you're just going to start to think about all the, like you might have said, oh, I don't lie. I never keep secrets. And then all of a sudden you close your eyes, you read the prompt and you have this intention. You're sitting there and you're like, what? And it just floods in. Likely it'll start to flood in. Guarantee you. Next step is open your eyes, set a timer for 3 minutes, and just look at yourself in the mirror for 3 minutes. So what that is, that's taking that partner type of tantra activity where you're sitting there and you're holding space for yourself. In other words, it's like, I'm just here. I'm not going to give you advice. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not even going to talk. I'm just going to be in this presence with you in honor and reverence to witness you. I'm here. I'm here. So that's a really important step. The next step is you are then going to set the timer for 8 minutes. This is where you begin to talk to yourself in the mirror. The reflection of you in the mirror is your partner. your partner is even though you're talking and you're going to see the person in the mirror talking, essentially think of it as though you are speaking to the God essence or just speaking and being listened to, being held, free of judgment and shame. Okay, very lovingly and silently. So just go on, whatever came into your head, just start talking. Oh my God, like first time I kept a secret, I realized is when I was a kid. I was abused for 20 years before I told my parents, maybe not as long as 20, but I kept it a secret for 20 years that I had been abused throughout my childhood. And then I realized that my partner had actually kept the secret of her extramarital affair from me for 20 years. Whoo! I'm just saying, you see how it shows up? I just shared a little bit of mine. Okay, so it just comes and just start talking and talking and talking and sharing whatever comes into your mind. Okay, just let it free flow, let it come out, and until that timer goes off. Okay, next, timer goes off, you're going to simply bring your hands to your chest and you're out loud just going to say thank you. In other words, you're thanking yourself for being present, for holding space, and for listening lovingly without trying to offer advice, without judging or shaming. Big part of Tantra. Then you're going to come back to another 8 minutes. Set the timer again for 8 more minutes, and you are going to close your eyes and meditate. This part of it is literally you just processing and integrating. Okay, what more awareness can I receive based on what I just shared? And you'll be surprised. In fact, for me, it would just be like, oh my God, this is why you did this. This is why you did that. All of a sudden, all the patterns come out. And you're like, wow, this is what the pattern is about. This is why it happened. You start to connect all these dots, and then you could even get some inspiration as to how that you can share this with others, or different types of things that you can do to continue to integrate it. It's powerful. So make sure that you do each part of this step, this process. 9, slowly open your eyes. And then let's see, 10. Okay, this is what I'm not sure the order just yet. I'm gonna be straight out honest. I think the next step for me that makes the most sense is to read aloud the daily affirmation or affirmations. Okay, now that you've done all this, what is your affirmation for the day? You can even write it down, put it on a post-it, put it on your bathroom mirror, put it in multiple places so that you are constantly seeing it and you can recite it and verbally say it out loud throughout the day. So you're impressing the subconscious mind with something that is truth, a new created truth. So the affirmation, it might be more than one. It might be, I might share some of the ones from another day, depending if it's applicable or not. So I'm also going to share those affirmations in the reel that I do for each day of the detox. And I'm also going to share those in the description. So you have the prompts, you have the framework, and you have the affirmations for each day of the detox. The only thing that you're missing that's going to be in my workbook are the very personal stories that I share, my experiences, as well as a more expansive view as to how the sexual shame comes up, how it comes up, and I share a little bit more in depth as to how that happens. And of course, I also provide that framework and a background behind all of it. So I would highly recommend, even if you go through all of this and you get the prompts and the affirmations and you experience the transformation, is that you still consider getting that workbook. Even if it's just a resource, something you can share with others. It could be something, if you have clients that you're working with, it's something that you could use with your own clients. Okay, so, okay. The next step is to make sure that you take time to reflect and to journal throughout the day, because what's going to happen anytime you clear energy out, you are going to receive insight. You are going to receive inspiration. You are going to receive clarity. And when you write it down, you can remember it. It's something that you can use at another time. It's something to support you. And again, maybe with your own clients, if you have your own clients. Okay, so I would highly recommend that. It doesn't involve too much work yet. You're going to want to commit. This is about you committing to yourself. You're going to want to commit to at least a half hour every single day to do this. And if you can do this consistently every single day for 40 days, maybe you miss a day or two, maybe it takes 45 days. Don't shame yourself. That's okay. I will tell you though, from personal experience, just see where you are when you begin and see where you are at the end of the 40 days. And I'm going to tell you, you will be deeply, deeply transformed in the most dramatic way that you couldn't have possibly imagined. At least that's how it was for me. Now, I am going to share the Ho'oponopono prayer. So this is where the fifth element comes in, prayer. And I'll share that prayer in a song, and I'll also actually type in the prayer in the description for this introductory video to this series. And it's simply this: I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Again, it's about self-accountability, reconciliation, self-forgiveness, gratitude, reconnection. Very simple, yet very powerfully effective. And you can use that. In other words, you're forgiving yourself. Because here's the other thing, there's carried shame too. You're not just taking on your own shame. You've got carried shame from caregivers and abusers that you have carried, and you're the one responsible to unload it. That's just what it is. Okay, you can't wait on them to unload it. It's yours to unload. So that'll definitely be a part of this detox as well. All righty, that's pretty much what I have. That's the framework. Let me know how it goes. And if you've been listening to this and you're at the end of this video right now, you should be able to, actually, let me see if I can link that reel in here. You'll be able to access that day one prompt, that day one affirmation. Please, as we go, let me know in the comments how it's going for you. You can either comment here, you can comment, in the reels, like, subscribe, share. This is powerfully transformative stuff. And if it's worked for me, it'll work for you. And if it's working for you, you're going to want to share it. Because why would you keep something like this from anyone when you know that it could help them? You see, when we raise ourselves, when we support the ability to raise others up, we all win. We all win. So there it is. Again, if you'd like to work with me personally, one-on-one, I do one-on-one private sessions, active assistance sessions. I do offer a 30-minute body complementary body reconnect session. I have some other options for you, all right down there in the links in the description, along with other books and music as codices of activation and transformation. This has been a lot of fun just getting this jump started and sharing it with you. And I pray that it transforms you in the way that it did for me. Please let me know how it goes. Much love. Peace.